Alright, YouTube, Shadow King Nazru, and I just saw Godzilla 2014 today. Uh, Saw it at the White Marsh Theater. What did I think about it? This movie surpassed all my expectations. I was going in this movie with high hopes, and this movie surpassed it. I really love that uh, they decided to take a more serious tone with this in this Godzilla reboot because when Godzilla was first shown, it was shown as a tragic disaster movie, more or less. To Godzilla was basically the metaphor for the nuclear bomb that destroyed Hiroshima back in World War II. And in the later sequels, Godzilla started to become really campy, more family friendly, a joke, if you will, to some extent, until they rebooted that in the Heisei era and the Millennium era. But this Godzilla was going back to its roots of being these uh, this disaster movie and being very tragic. And the focus of the story is on um, how the people react to Godzilla and the destruction he brings when he fights these two other monsters called Mutos, who look like a cross between the Cloverfield monster and the male one kind of looked like a cross between the Cloverfield monster and Rodan. No, if honestly, if they brought Rodan, that's gonna bring up some confusion that they'll think that the Muto came back. Um, I did, I did like Godzilla's design. Uh, this is the biggest Godzilla we've gotten so far, and I find it rather ridiculous that some of the people think that he's too big, that he seems too bulky. People, you should be used to seeing Godzilla bulky. Have you seen the Heisei version? You see how bulky he was. Look at Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Come on, people. And we want Godzilla to be bulky. He's the king of the monsters. He's the apex predator. You need to have an imposing figure that shows that nobody wants to fuck with you. What did I think about the Mutos? They were pretty decent for starter up opponents, but honestly, with a name like Mutos and not having any other special abilities besides flying or digging, I don't see them becoming all too special fan favorites. I did like the design of them though. Um, Now back to the story element of it being tragic. Um, this story has a lot of tragedy to it. Bryan Cranston, a bit of a spoiler. His wife dies, and he tries to uh, discover this government conspiracy about what happened there, as they try to say it's like some kind of radiation fallout. Uh, and it turns out that was not the case. The radiation was completely cleaned thanks to the Mutos absorbing the radiation, and the government was covering that up. And he is not too long after killed by the Mutos, and his son is accompanied by the people who were covering it up, and he learns more about all of this as well as about Godzilla. And um, we see a lot of things like uh, buildings being destroyed, uh, people dying, people panicking. Some of them even risking each other's lives just to get to safety. That those things are usually glossed over because in later Godzilla films they just try to focus on Godzilla fighting a different monster. Now, in this movie, it takes a sideline to what's happening with the humans. Now, some people might be pissed off at that because they thought they came to see the monsters fighting, but this works very well because it sets the serious tone of the thing. And I did like how Kim Watanabe played Dr. Serizawa in the sense that he felt that Godzilla was like the champion of nature, trying to balance itself out, and Godzilla was there to correct humanity's mistakes. He feels that the Mutos and their experiment with radiation had made them gone too far, and Godzilla needs to clean up their mess. And despite some of the monsters getting uh, well, let's say limited screen time, and some of them just kind of cut away from fights. Uh, it does have a nice payoff at the end where they finally show all the stuff they can do with Godzilla and the Mutos. And trust me, when Godzilla does the atomic breath, it is glorious. And nice, and it's even better when you see it in 3D. And yes, I know, I'm usually the guy who says 3D is not that special, it's a gimmick, but it was my childhood dream to see Godzilla in 3D, and it made me very, very, very pleased to see that. More so by the fact that I got to see that Gary Chalk was in this. And for those who don't know, Gary Chalk was the guy who played Optimus Primal in Beast Wars and Optimus Prime in Transformers Armada and the two sequels that came after it. So that was a nice tidbit. Hmm. So, all in all, I'm going to give Godzilla 2014 a 9.9 out of 10. Very excellent. I probably would have given it a 10 if they had a little bit more of the Godzilla fighting, but I'm not going to make too big of a complaint about that. So, next video, I'm going to do my final review for the Rosario Vampire 2 for the week, and stay tuned for that.